rifling through those long boxes.
It's gotta be here, it's gotta be here, it's gotta be here. Aha! Here it is!
And bagging those books.
I'm out of bags and boards again.
Welcome to your home for Star Wars comics.
The Cosmic Force Podcast.
A Youtini Podcast Network production. And now, here are your hosts, Parker Kirk, Caleb Lamanek, and Jacob Bosch.
Hello everyone, welcome to this episode of the Cosmic Force. We are having some technical difficulties today, which is weird to say for a not live podcast, but that's why things probably look a little different. But welcome to your bi-weekly Star Wars Comics podcast. We are on youtube.com/Youtini every other Wednesday, as well as your favorite podcasting app. Thanks to everyone for tuning in. If you want to support the show, you can head on over to patreon.com/Youtini for where as little as $5 a month. You can gain exclusive access to the entire Youtini podcast networks of shows, including Star Wars Archives. But with that out of the way, let's jump into the show. This week we are talking about High Republic #1, Return of Phase 3, it's already kind of been back, but also Shadows of Starlight #2. It's going to be a busy week, but with that said, if I can find the right screen, how are you all doing, guys?
We're doing pretty great here. We've had some technical difficulties, which since I'm usually the one behind it, I was panicking very much. But then we're down at, no, it's not just me. It's everyone else was having difficulty with it. So it kind of helps to know you're not the crazy one here. But no, all that aside, we're doing great here. We're rocking along. We were teasing earlier in the day that, we'll be able to get 2 issues in here, no problem. There's absolutely no news to talk about, but we got some last minute news drops, but we'll touch on that in a little bit.
Oz, you just had to say something.
I did, yeah, that was my fault. My bad, guys. Yeah, we are doing good. If you're listening, you probably don't know we're having technical difficulties on your favorite podcast app, but not on Jacob's favorite podcast app, because
it will almost not exist probably by the time this comes out.
This is the first time you neglected to say rest in peace Google Podcast.
R.I.P. Google Podcast. Yes, indeed. But yeah, so Oz did make the fatal mistake of saying there was no news for us to talk about. It'll be a quick show. That's after he said that, a slew of things came out.
Some at least for us, kind of massive things. In the grand scheme, maybe not, but yes, one in particular.
The first thing, I will pull up a picture on screen. That is 2 new Free Comic Book Day announcements, which is huge for Star Wars. So we will have a Young Jedi Adventures Free Comic Book Day issue written by Daniel Jose Older with art by Andy Dugan. That has Quart and Nubs on the cover. It's like my 2 worlds colliding, my little blue guys. Super exciting. And somehow that might not be that is huge, but that might not be the biggest thing, because for the first time since Marvel took over comics in 2015 for Star Wars, we are getting a Marvel Free Comic Book Day issue. We don't know anything about it. It has what I think looks like a Rod Rice cover with Darth Vader and Luke Skywalker. I'm going to take a wild guess and say Charles Soule's probably writing it. But as of right now, that's all we know. Granted, by the time this show comes out, we will probably know significantly more. But yeah, it also Luke's yellow lightsaber is on it, which I think is kind of weird given where this story is clearly heading and the pacing.
That was exactly what I was going to say. Yeah.
But it's a Free Comic Book Day, so who knows where they're going to set it in the timeline.
Yeah. But I don't know. The fact that it's got his yellow saber makes me think it ties in directly with the current run.
Yeah.
But it could tie in directly with, like 3 trade paperbacks ago. Which, speaking of trades, I would suggest to grab this, even if you're a trade collector, because with Marvel's track record, there's a very good chance this will not end up collected. If it does, it might be in years. Look at Storms of Crate, which we are finally getting in Volume 2. But there's still a hand. Yeah, DJ from Han Solo, I think, is not collected.
Is the Beckett one as well, or is that
Beckett's in the Han Solo, the solo adaptation,
right?
Book. Or it's in Double or Nothing, or Imperial Cadet, one of those,
right?
Yeah. Anyway, pick this up because we might never see it again, and I'm excited though, and I just looked it up. This might be the reason Marvel's doing it. Do y'all know when Free Comic Book Day is?
It is May the 4th.
May the 4th.
It is May the 4th, 2024. Y'all already knew, apparently. So that makes sense.
I know this because it is also, my partner pointed out after I posted about these today, that is my graduation day. So I am going to roll into the comics book store with like my giant like velvet regalia to pick up a free comic book day written for children.
Your whole JD. Well, I guess do more than that just to support your local store. You gotta get like 4 or 5 other free comic books, you know?
Well,
That's right.
So for people that don't, I gave a little primer on Twitter for people that aren't like big comic readers, which if you're listening to this podcast, you probably don't need this, but if you're looking for a free comic book place, you can go to comicshoplocator.com, put in your zip code, find out what stores participate, and then usually way closer to that date, they'll post what issues they're getting in. A lot of them will have sales. You can go in and pick up like the free ones you want, and then buy something. Get a trade paperback. If you haven't read, I was recommending like people like go pick up Sonostaros. That's a good trade paperback. It's a nice short, self-contained story. But yeah, so that'll be May the 4th. But that is also not the only Star Wars comics news we got today. We also got solicits, which we don't normally talk about because it's not. Rarely is it exciting. It's like, oh man. There's going to be another
covers.
Yeah, there's going to be another Star Wars
text
issue or Darth Vader issue coming out 3 months from now, guys. Get ready. But there are some big implications this time. First, we have now learned that the Thrawn Alliance's adaptation is only 4 issues, which seems pretty short for the amount of content they're going to have to adapt. Because I think the OG Thrawn book was 5. Was it 5 issues or 6?
5, yeah.
Oh, I thought it was 4, but it. Yeah, which this is. I feel like Alliances is a bigger book.
You have the split timeline thing. So
yeah, let's see.
I think issue 2. I just because issue 2 is the one that was solicited today, was 32 pages long, which is a little longer, but nothing too crazy.
The original Thrawn was 6 issues.
Yeah. So
and yeah, it looks like it's a little thicker, but I feel like they didn't super cover the Governor Price storyline as much in the comic as the book did, which
I really liked.
A bummer.
Yeah,
it was there, but it was definitely curtailed.
But, so like, I wonder if the flashbacks will be like muted a little bit.
It's weird because I had that thought too, because so far the 2 A covers have been shown and neither of them have Anakin. It's just Vader and Thrawn. And some of the variants have come out, no Anakin so far, but the description for issue 2 mentions Padme. So it's like, okay, well, they're not ignoring it, but
I think you could definitely tell the story with like truncating the Clone Wars storyline. And like, I wonder if it'd be great, but I wonder if they'll keep in the scene from Ascendancy with where he meets.
Oh,
where Cherie takes him.
Cherie,
yeah. Anyway, it'd be cool to see, but that's an easy cut.
And then, but you have to include the Anakin trying to pronounce Mithran Naruto.
Naruto.
Mithran Naruto.
Yeah,
that's what I said.
So
I genuinely don't know how to say it.
No, my hope is the letter comes through for me and they have this exchange and it's just a different syllable bolded in every attempt.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which, real quick detour, did they never said his full name in Ahsoka, did they, in the TV show?
No, it was just Thrawn.
Oh, bummer. Cowards.
Yeah. Well, can you imagine going to what's his fate, the actor, and being
Lars
Mikkelsen, and being like, I need you to pronounce this word for me. I need you to say Mithran Naruto.
Yeah, I guess they never said it in Rebels either.
But anyways, so that happened. Also, Mace Windu, the miniseries, is only 4 issues as well. However, issue 1 is 40 pages for $5. So that's like pretty insane.
Pretty good.
It's a nice bargain. Yeah, especially with like prices seemingly going up. I'll take 40 issues for $5 any day, or 40 pages. So there's that. And then the last big thing, we've had some thoughts about this before, or had some inklings about this. Nothing is confirmed yet. You again may know more by the time this episode comes out, but there's no Dr. Aphra solicited for the month of February. So January was the last Afra on this calendar that we're getting. Sometimes comics do like skip months, so it happens. But the last issue so far we have is issue 40 in January. The tagline, or like the description, literally says like, "Is this the end for Dr. Afra?" Which like comics have been baiting out deaths for like 60 years now.
Yeah.
But between that and the cover, kind of Oz pointed out like that the cover looks like something that would be like the last issue.
Well, because it's basically the same design as the first issue of the 2020 run.
Yeah.
It's like a mirror, but it's got all the updated stuff. It's got her and Sana. It's got Magna. All the new cast of characters, and it looks like a send off.
I'm a little scared. We
with Bounty Hunters ending at the same time, literally a week earlier.
Right.
I don't know. It feels like they're prepping for a new line.
We could be coming to the end. Revelation. We'll probably have an announcement. If it is ending, we'll have an announcement soon. Again, probably by the time you're listening to this. Otherwise, Revelations in December will probably be helping.
I think
us
there is an
show
Afra
the future.
storyline in Revelations.
Maybe,
or she's in it. I don't know. They're not killing her off. You don't have to worry about that. I'm pretty confident in that.
It'd be a pretty bad move.
Valence, I don't know.
Valence is probably dead. Yeah.
Yeah. But Afra's popular enough. I think maybe they'll put out a book that sort of has Valence or the Bounty Hunters crew and Afra in it because they've crossed over a bit. Mm-hmm. She was in the first arc of that, I think. I don't know. But Darth Vader and Star Wars don't seem to be going anywhere. But maybe it could be like in 2017 when the Vader book ended and Star Wars kept going.
Yeah, because like
they did Afra.
That's right.
The solicitation for Vader in February very much seems like it's a start of a new thing. So I don't think like it's got at least another full arc in it from February probably. But we'll see. Also, the other big thing that was leading to this speculation is earlier this morning they came out with the listing for the trade paperback that's coming up for Afra, and that collects, I think it's 7 or 8 issues.
It's nine.
9 issues going through issue 40. So it's like either they're setting up for one more arc probably, or like that's it. Because we had like a 2 issue mini arc after Hidden Empire. So like you got to put those somewhere. But
but I don't know, the way they've been collecting stuff, they're giving us more content for not much. Currently it says 9 issues for $25, which is like a crazy deal.
Which Yoda was like 10 issues for like almost 40. I think it was 10
which
issues
is still
for
a
35.
pretty good deal compared to some. Like I just read Vader Volume 6, which has 4 issues plus they reprint Afra's origin just to pad it out.
Or I definitely paid for the black, white, and red Treasury edition, which is 4 issues for it's bigger, but it's like 4 issues for like $25 or something like that. So,
but it's like, I don't know why else they would put 9 issues in a trade,
right?
When they've literally never done that for any of the other ongoing.
I don't know. I feel like if they were actually going to be like ending like the whole series and like getting to the start of episode 6 as they did with the last series, I feel like we'd be more hype, more like actual like social media posting about this, like trying to get like hey, do you want to see like the road to why am I blanking on episode 6?
Return of the Jedi.
Return of the Jedi.
Maybe before then we'll look into it and do a comparison, see when we learned all that.
Because they did a big thing like Road to Hoth last the Road to Hoth was Empire Ascendant. There's like several like tie-ins with Afra and like all like that. Like Hoth was kind of
it was like
deal.
Wasn't it just like a banner on the top of the comics, but they had nothing to do with it? It was just like, we're fighting rock people, but hey, it's Hoth's coming soon, don't worry guys.
But exactly, like they did that last time, so one would imagine they would just not copy paste but do the same like marketing push again.
We'll see, because Bounty Hunters had its announcement in San Diego or New York Comic-Con like 3 weeks ago or something like that, and then I was just looking it up. San Diego Comic-Con, which would be like the next thing to make sense for like a big announcement, is July 25th of 2024.
Yeah, it does feel
weird
a
ways away
that they would announce Bounty Hunters and not Afra. So
if they were ending at the same time.
There's something going on. I think we can be certain of that.
But anyways,
we'll let you know when we get there.
Yeah, again, you might know by the time you listen to this show. But
and real quick, we didn't really talk about it. Nubs is in a comic.
Yes, Nubs is in a comic.
I know we mentioned it, but that's crazy. I know it's
back up on the screen.
It's Dark Horse, which is the young reader, so it makes sense. But he and Court are together. Like there's been some Young Jedi Adventures stuff, the kids' books, a little golden book, but this is the first time they're really tying into the main thing. We just had those episodes with Bell and Loden and Starlight Beacon, so it's cool seeing that all get brought in.
Yeah, I got the storybook because I have the first. They have a couple little golden books planned. I have the first one.
Get Well Nubs.
Yeah, Get Well Nubs, which is an adaptation of one of the episodes. Because it was some kind of thing where I needed to. I was $5 short of free shipping on Barnes and Noble, and shipping was like $5. So I'm like, okay, cool, free book. But someone in our Slack posted Book Outlet, which I've not used before, had a sale going on. I got this for like $6. So
yeah, so it's cool seeing that now based on the art and what we think we assume about Young Jedi Adventures. And Court has his mask on.
Yeah, Court has his mask on, so it's before like issue 8-ish of.
It's
phase
probably.
1.
My guess is it's still pre-Great Disaster.
I think so too. Court looks like a baby in that. I don't think it's just the art style.
I feel like the HRA style has been like all over the place with their ages.
Well, Harvey Tolobao
and Harvey Tolobao draw them so differently.
Yeah,
they're both great, but I thought
very
at first
styles.
that they were like 5 to 8 years old,
right?
And then the next arc came out.
Well, there was a time skip, but it definitely made it look like it's much more significant.
It's like, oh wow, we went 5 years into the future.
And now that we had a 1 year time skip, and just based on the covers, like Zine is jacked. So we are excited to add to our Young Jedi Adventures collection. And speaking of our collections, Jacob, what are you reading right now?
I do want to make one final point on Young Jedi Adventures and I think this was, I can't remember when this was. Maybe early this summer they had come out with like the full slate of like, here's our publishing for Young Jedi Adventures, and they like announced the storybook that it showed and the little golden book and like the like numbered level readers. I mean, Oz, you're a parent, I guess you kind of know a little bit more about this, where it's like, here's the level 1 reader and the level 2 reader. So they had some of those, and those have all come out, but there's also something that was like, it's called like My First Comic Book, and it was a comic announced for Young Jedi Adventures, and we never heard about it ever again. It was slated to come out, I want to say, in like late July. It was definitely like it's passed, and we have not heard about it since. So I don't know if that's ever happening again. But
my guess is no, and my guess is also that it was like screen grabs from an episode.
It was literally like a black thing with like some little gold frames, and then screen grabs of the characters on the cover, and that was all we knew about it. So but anyways, with all that said, things I've been reading, I will try and go quick because we do have 2 comic book issues to talk about, and I actually read a lot of shit this week. I finished the KOTOR comic books Legend series. Very good. And very good.
I know we said we didn't get distracted, but I feel like the first issue of that KOTOR series is like the most like engaging I've ever had with like a Star Wars comic. Like at the end of issue 1, you're like, oh, that's a great story hook, and I can't wait to see where it goes. And it goes really great. That was John Jackson Miller, right?
Yep. Yeah.
Like, dude, that first like major arc of like the first like 30-40 issues, that's like such great Star Wars.
I was already about halfway through it when we recorded last, but I finished that off. I finished almost all of Legacy 1. I have to read Legacy War. Which it was weird because like KOTOR War was like, we kind of finished the story, but here's like another adventure with Zane, and Legacy was like, the story is definitely not done. We left you on a very like not conclusive point, but here's it's 6 more issues.
Exactly. It wasn't even like necessarily a cliffhanger.
It was a cliffhanger. It's like, here's Crate, he's still alive.
I guess there was that. I felt like more it's like, hey, we're like you just watched the first 2 acts of your movie. Like the 3rd act will be these last 6 comics. Yeah.
So interested to see how that rolls out. I finished Podamer and Freefall. That was pretty good.
Did it make you understand that Return of the Jedi one shot better?
Oh no, I need to reread that. I've been planning to do that. Rebellion.
Yeah, Rebellion one.
yeah,
That was
whatever.
like
Rebellion.
yeah, I do. But there were some characters that like I remember crossing over. Gentry, who is like a Powan from
Yes.
the one shot. He is in the book, so
Yeah.
hopefully it makes a little bit more sense. But yeah, read that. It was pretty good. Not my favorite, but I feel it's like one of those books I feel like no one has read. Like it just like I feel like everyone just
Or-
kind of forgot it happened.
Or people did read and just forgot it happened afterwards.
Well, because
Yeah.
it was post Tross and
Yeah.
and
Okay.
pre High Republic, so we were kind of in a transitionary period, I think, publishing wise.
It did sort of feel like a filler book. There's a few of those that,
Yeah.
and some of them are great that just sort of fall through the cracks.
But then
Mostly like of junior and young YA stuff.
Speaking of junior books, I'm currently reading Star Wars Hunters. This was the other thing I got from Book Outlet. So Oz will be very happy. I'm about a third of the way through. It is hilarious how it's just like now we're doing the chapter where you set up your character. Now we're doing the chapter where the main character has to realize about playing the objective in a video game. All these fun things.
We've already wasted enough time, so we're not going to get into that. But if you would like to hear me get into it, go
Star Wars
listen to
Archives.
Star Wars Archives. Trevor, Jose, and I talked about that book and the video game, which none of us have played. Mind, we talked about it for 90 minutes, and it was a lot of fun. I think we've talked about how it's crazy when people listen to their own podcasts. I re-listened to that conversation because I had so much fun talking about it. That book is great. Go read it.
It's been fun so far.
If Nubs can come to a comic, actually, I guess Amara Vex is in a comic.
Amara
but we
Vex
need
is
more
in a
of them.
comic, and I'm still not entirely sure how she's supposed to live. But anyways,
Yeah.
and then the other thing I'm currently reading, Eye of Darkness. Obviously, that came out. I think because Oz and I have started, we're probably going to try and pretend that book has not come out for the discussion of the comic books today.
I haven't gotten really to a place in it where it matters, but
It has made a difference for me, so I will try and ignore that.
okay.
Okay. I have not started, so.
But anyways, anyone else reading anything?
Yeah, dang, you have been busy. I have not been reading much this week. I did get in The Last Ronin Lost Years, the prequel sequel. I think they do sort of a Godfather 2 kind of thing for The Last Ronin, Teenage Mutant Turtles. I cannot pronounce that. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
TMNT.
Thank you. There's letters for that. I haven't read it yet. The first one's great, though. I just finally read it this summer. So I don't know how good it is. I am reading Eye of Darkness, and then a brief update on what we hyped up way too hard last time. The mystery edition of Star Wars Timelines the mystery was solved, I think,
We all
but
saw
like by the time we ended recording the podcast. Yeah, all three of us had it. Only one of us got it at the proper location, which was Caleb. It turns out,
and the proper price.
yeah, the location is Costco, is where they're from. I don't remember who figured that out. I remember saying like
Someone in Discord had it.
Yeah,
first.
but someone was like, I think it's Costco. And I remember I even asked, I was like, oh, why do you think that? Because I don't see any evidence of it. And he was like, I've got an inside source.
His brother was there.
Oh, well, I saw someone, maybe I was on Reddit. It was like, I'm not comfortable revealing my source on the smugglers group. And I'm like, this is like Jason Bourne levels of intrigue. For like 2 days, we were really, really curious about this, and it felt like a fun mystery. Turns out it's at Costco for $20. Do not, I repeat, do not buy it on eBay
unless you're international, because you probably can't get it outside the US.
Yeah,
but even then,
also
it's not worth it.
It's not worth it.
It is. There are 2 pages about Sabine Wren's armor, and I'd made a meme in our Slack chat that's like, it's gonna be like random, like a couple hundred years BBY estimated armor created, and then it's just gonna be a timeline of rebels, and that is exactly what it is.
That's what it is. And then there are 4 pages that are just this.
There's
not this specific, but just picture spreads. So you get 2 new pictures and 2 new little timelines they're good, and you get a poster.
Yeah, you get the Exegol, you get the Battle Geonosis, and then the Falcon Rectenna spread.
Yep.
So you get to kind of see
Sabine's armor.
And Sabine's armor, and then yeah. I mean, honestly, the best part is the poster from the galactic map foldout poster.
Yeah. If you already have timelines, I would say don't bother unless you're like I gotta buy everything sicko like we sometimes are. If you don't have timelines and you have a Costco membership, it's $20.
it's
This is
cheaper
way
than the regular version.
It's way cheaper than the regular version. Now, I like the regular version's cover better.
That's true.
But my wife was not thrilled when we got to the bottom of it. But I have made stupider mistakes in my life, and it was fun for the weekend.
Right.
Anyway, enough about that. Hopefully, we never have to talk about it again until a Target exclusive pops up. Caleb, what about you?
Let's see here. I finished from a certain point of view, Empire Strikes Back. I really liked it. I want to say that, I think Camp had my favorite moment of like that series, because like there's a one where it talks about where it was the point of view of Obi-Wan Kenobi, and he was seeing Luke leave and like abandon his training and going off, and that's the best thing that Star Wars does, that all these novels do. It gives you a lot more context, so you see like and hear Obi-Wan's like internal monologue of like these damn Skywalkers, like in their stubbornness and ruining my life, and like I want to tell Luke that as I see him walking away, I see his father, the most beautiful man, the person I trusted the most, turning away from me, and it kills me again just as much as watching his father walk away. And it's such a beautiful like moment that gives so much more like weight and context to the scene. And the very next story was the Jackson story, which was amazing. It was the other great part
from a certain point of view.
I know, it's like, and then the Jackson story, which is like Mark Thompson was doing his best Roger Rabbit impersonation for his voice, and it was amazing. Like I said, it gave me such like joy of like, I love this like deep emotional context of Star Wars, but I also like that we can have a 7-foot green rabbit shooting guns. Okay,
He's 7 foot tall.
I think he's massive.
When you count the ears,
when you count the ears, yeah,
that's fair.
There are times where Star Wars gets way too indulgent on like adding extra context and stuff, but I love moments like that where they bring in things that George thought of later. That it works really well for the OT, obviously, but like because he's talking about like, oh, it should have been Leia, and like he and Yoda got into an argument. I don't know if it's in that story, but in one of them
previous ones,
where he's like, no, I gotta train Leia, but that one's cool.
Yeah, but so like it gives, if you haven't gone into it, from a certain point of views, are really, really great. And now I'm going back and kind of recontextualizing a lot of things with the Claudia Gray's Master and Apprentice, or the Obi-Wan Qui-Gon story, and that's been pretty good so far.
I believe that is a Youtini masterpiece.
I'm not even like a third of the way through. I'm like down on chapter 6 or so still a lot of setup. So we'll see how this comes out. I'm excited. I kind of like the idea of like a kind of one of the characters is like a hedonistic Jedi, like it's like I was no problems. About to say, like
Rail Avaros, baby.
Rail Avaros is the best part of that book.
Like
sure.
Like I have no problems like drinking, eating too much, and flirting with women with big boobs, as he like that's directly as he described that character.
Yeah,
she's blonde and had big, huge tracts of land. I mean, it's
I love how I feel like at some point he gets caught in bed with someone and he's like, what, Qui-Gon, you don't do this?
Yeah, I think I remember this. Yeah. No, the best part, there are 3 great parts of Master Apprentice. That is Rail Avaros, Pax and Rhaenyra.
I do like them a lot. I've had like 2 scenes with them and I'm like, oh, these are great.
And colon crystals.
Oh yeah.
I haven't gotten there yet.
Oh, you'll know.
No.
You did I guess we should randomly say this, and it might not be the case anymore, but the SAG-AFTRA strike is over for the time being.
Oh yeah.
So we can talk more about. We don't really talk about movies or TV shows, but if we wanted to, we can.
I still think we could have before anyway.
Oz, we're not getting into this right now. But so that's great. I'm excited. However, I am also scared with what I'm hearing about the deal that it might not be ratified. So by the time this podcast comes out, who knows? Maybe Strike's back on. I'm hoping
we're doing a whole lot of by the time this comes out today.
Yeah, the whole week delay release is kind of a weird scenario, especially when things are happening right now.
Congratulations to all the actors. It sounds like they kicked ass, but apparently you're not.
I'm scared.
So sure.
We'll see. But the reason I brought this up is because Caleb, you missed all the like stupid conspiracy theories and stuff about colon crystals and Shin and Balin when those trailers first came out, because their lightsabers are not exactly red. But
Right.
Oh, they
You'll-
thought they were the faux crystals.
you'll understand soon enough. Yes.
Interesting. I get it, but I also like, since when has anything from like a really wild book ever made it to the live action series? Like
Literally
there-
Cobb Vanth.
There are
Like-
3 words important to remember that we say at Youtini often. Dave can't
Can't
read.
I like-
Obviously, Dave Filoni, if you're listening to this, I'm sure you can read. We just know that it's silly to
You just
expect
choose
that
not
stuff
to.
to happen.
I like to say Dave
Okay.
can't read anything published past 1995.
Yeah.
Because
No,
he
I mean-
clearly loves the OG Thrawn trilogy.
Yeah,
But
he pulls in
Like-
in from the EU plenty, and the Cobb Vanth is still one of the coolest things
It's-
that's ever
it's
happened
so
in Star
wild.
Wars.
yeah,
but-
we got Black Chrysanthemum there, so that's
Like
pretty
that,
cool.
I feel like that broke people's brains. That now they're like, "Oh, this thing from the book is gonna be in." And no, it's not. It's not, and that's
Yeah.
okay.
And that's, I feel like people have to be okay with that. Like, it's like you can't expect someone like, oh, well, Dave, before we let you direct anything, here's like the 20 books you have to read as homework before we let you touch this IP again.
Man, there was a lot of clownery going on with Ahsoka too, because we were like, "Oh, Eli Vanth, Eli
Eli
Vanto,
Vanto.
Eli Fanto, and
Or-
and-
Arlani's just gonna
Arlani-
jump in.
Arlani.
Yeah.
God, I was definitely clowning for Arlani. I didn't think Eli. I kind of thought Arlani.
well, we
I
got his substitute of Enoch,
yeah, we got
Yeah.
Enoch, and we got. I did plenty of clowning for Marok or whatever.
Mark being Barris.
I knew it wasn't Barris,
Yeah.
but anyway,
being
We all
someone
knew
that was not
Star
green
It was
dust.
Star Killer, right?
Yeah.
It was Star
yeah,
Killer.
it was Starkiller.
Yeah.
But no characters from books, no characters from comics.
Hey, but if you
Speaking
really
of
love,
comics,
if you really love Merrick, you can spend like $300 on a Hot Toys bust of him or something.
it
right
looks
now.
sick.
It looks so
I'm not
sick,
gonna
but
buy
it's
it.
kind of goofy. Anyways, comic books. We have 2
Oh,
big
yeah.
comic books that came out.
Remember how we were going to keep this one quick today?
Yeah, it's been half an hour. And
God
now we're
dang it.
starting about talking about comic books. Hey, it's because we're having fun. So
That's
2
right.
big comic books that have come out: The High Republic issue #1 of Phase 3, and Shadows Starlight #2 of 4. So the High Republic #1 was written by Kevin Scott with pencils from Ario Anandito and Jim Toe, and additional inks from Mark Morales and colors from Jim Campbell. And then Shadows Starlight #2, written by I don't know if I mix up their names. The first one was written by Kevin Scott. I don't know if I said that correctly. And
did.
okay, cool.
Yeah.
Then Shadows Starlight #2, written by Charles Soule, with pencils from Marika Cresta and colors from Guru EFX. So, gang, which one do we want? Well, Caleb, you can hit our recaps, and then we'll kind of break it down from there.
I feel like we should talk about, do a recap of one and then talk about one. So I
That
can't
sounds
want to talk
good.
about
That
High
sounds good.
Republic 1. Let's so first
Ooh,
up,
we're not
we
going
have-
in timeline order.
Oh
Yeah.
no.
You know what? No, we're not. High Republic 1. We start with the new Jedi Master Keeve Trennis, haunted by the death of her old master Skier. This is set 1 year after the fall of Starlight. She leads a team on the long beam Geos, which, I mean, I feel like they should have let him be like that. Naming something after a dead person, like just a year after he died, seems a little like quick,
It was probably
Anyway.
quicker than that.
I know. Anyway, she leads the team patrolling around the occlusion zone, keeping an eye out for Nihil attacks, along with Sarek and Tarek from the previous series. And also, I'm going to D 2.0. I didn't write down his name, but she has another Jedi with him. with her. But yeah, I'm going to die. I'm
no,
going
he
to.
he was in Phase 1. He was on
Really?
Oh god.
Oh,
what's it
word?
called? Yeah, hold on. Well, yeah, Vamp. I'll show you.
Okay, well, okay. Anyway, so they get a notice that the Hutts are making moves reclaiming grounds that are sent to camp investigate. So on Balaam, a contingent of Nihil meet with the Hutt Lord, offering their military support for his loyalty. Can't have a bad deal. But their talks are interrupted by the Jedi when the Hutts begin to fire upon them. Oh, yeah, sure enough, there he is fighting the Dringar.
I think I always thought that was Wreath.
I did too for a while, but it's not him.
You're right, it's Aiden.
Yeah. So here he is. I don't think he had a name until now. But this dude is on Mulita. This is the planet fighting the Dringir in Phase 1. I think like issue 8-ish.
Interesting.
And now
Oh
he's
no, that's Santar.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
Santar. Yeah.
Yeah, I think
Which
it's
I
Santar
also
was his name.
mixed up with Santari Kree from Jedi Survivor. It's getting confusing, but
Yeah.
Anyway,
anyways, Caleb, sorry.
in the ensuing battle, a nameless is unleashed and kills Amagona D.
Santar.
Santar. And Kiev herself is nearly ashified until Tarek blasts its away with its vector, but it crashes during this save here. Then the Hutt's chief enforcer reveals herself and her hidden battleship, the self-named Lorna D.
Sick.
Dude,
It was wild.
I love Lorna D. I'm so glad that she's going to be back, and I'm excited to see if she's going to be like a major player in this next arc here.
Yeah,
I mean, she's on the cover, so
I will give a caution to listeners. There have been some leaks about the future of this series, at least through the first 4 issues. So tread carefully. It's a pretty decent. I saw it. It's a pretty decent spoiler. Be careful.
I have
out.
not seen it.
Yeah.
I resisted
Same.
the temptation.
But
This
being not on Twitter helps not
Same,
avoid
yeah,
log
exactly.
outs.
yeah, I'm chronically online, so
this was a great start. Honestly, like jumping right in. There's barely any sort of like setup. It's just kind of like
Oh, that's what Shadows of Starlight was for.
right, yeah, exactly. It's just sort of like boom, here we go. And I love that just sort of the poetry of it that like it opens on this flashback that Keeves having to Starlight
Right.
crashing.
Caleb, did you read Tales of Light and Life? I don't think so, right?
Not yet. No.
Okay, Keith has a really cool story in there that I think just you don't need to read it, but just fits very well with this, where she's like also in Hut space, like battling back,
Yeah,
like an occupation.
it's one of the best. It's one of the better stories from that book, which is a great book.
I feel like I'll probably need to. I still had to do one more book, Path of Vengeance in Phase 2. Then I'll probably do Tales of Light and Life.
Yeah,
and
because
jump
the
into
book,
Phase
the story
3.
that follows up Path of Vengeance is
the
is
Marta
the
story.
best. Yeah, is the best
it's so
story in that book. Actually, I guess even before the opening of this book, the cover they got
It's a
Phil Noto
callback.
back to
Yeah.
do the cover from issue 1 and 15 of the first run, which another thing that they didn't echo in Phase 2.
Phase 2.
We have a lot of grievances about the production
Look,
values
there's
of
the
Phase
issue
2.
1 cover,
Yeah,
Mhm.
and now
here's the issue 15 cover.
yeah,
Heck
you mean
yeah.
the new issue 1 cover
Issue
Yeah.
because
Star Wars: The High Republic
Issue 1,
2023
hopeful.
issue 1.
issue 15 like despair.
Depressing, yeah.
This new issue 1 is just like
It's
broken.
metal. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's cool. I mean, his covers are always great. Love the new design for Christina Ariel, or Keith
Christina
Turnus.
Ariel basically being Keith Turnus.
I'm trying to. It's a great design. Like all of these new characters look great. Sarek and Tarek are getting low
I
botted.
love.
It looks like.
Yeah, they mentioned that in the short story, but don't really say why.
Yeah.
Uh,
I also Velko Jahan is back. Glupshido
Yes.
enjoyers.
yes, massive W for the people who read Star Wars Insider.
Yep.
That was really cool to see. Doesn't play a huge role. Didn't play a huge role in Phase 1, but
She had like one cameo in the Phase 1 comics as well.
yeah,
But yeah, and I mean, also seeing Elzar again, which is interesting because we're gonna talk about this now, and we're gonna talk about Elzar like 5 months ago in Shadows of Starlight 2. But I am interested. He has not shaved since Starlight Beacon has fallen, and it's like you gotta grow a Stellan beard, or are you just like depressed and don't want to shave.
yeah.
His girlfriend out of town. And you don't have to keep
bit
up
of both.
appearances.
He's also participating in Movember, so
Yeah, but yeah, we'll talk about him more because he's got a full issue coming. Speaking of Keeves' design, I wonder if Ario's going to make an updated action figure. For those who don't know,
oh yeah, he made like a custom Barbie basically.
I don't know if he made it or a friend of his.
Was that
made
Kelly
it,
Knox?
It's Ario has it because he posted on Instagram pretty regularly.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's got a custom like 1/6 figurine of Keeve that is real good looking. That a lot of people I know would pay good money for something like that.
Mm-hmm.
But to the actual content of the issue, banger.
Yeah. Like as you said, it can't. There's not a lot of like fat on this one. Like we immediately get to the action.
Yeah, it's
I'm
real
really,
action heavy.
yeah, I'm really interested in what you guys thought because like we got Lorna D and as a big reveal, that's super cool. But I'm like a little bit more fascinated with this like Nihil enforcer type, like this guy with this mask, and is
So
he a
Yeah,
Dringar? Like
it is
vines coming out?
so they're part of the Children of the Jedi or Children of the Storm. I won't say too much based on the book, but based on like what they posted on like Star Wars Databank, it's like a they're kind of enforcers for a part of the Nihil now. I don't. So there's like the main dude that's like talking and doing the deal making, and then there's the enforcer who's called Brother Lycos.
He has a name.
Yes, he like gets mentioned like once. My theory is he's Alonto, which was a species from Phase 2 comics on the Convocation of the Force on Jedha. They have grayish skin, they have pointy ears, and they can shoot vines with the Force. So,
I thought he was like had a Drengir infestation.
Yeah, I thought he was like part Dringar
it's definitely one of the two. I think it looks more like Lanto, because like when Skier was infected with Drengir, it's like his entire arm was vines, where this dude is like shooting
you
kind
can
of
tell he has fingers.
yeah, he has like smaller tendrils or whatever.
Yeah, I thought maybe he like learned to control it or something.
I also just think it makes sense for like, you know, Cavan's gonna reference his stuff from Phase 2.
I just looked up
Sousa Lee from
the chick from the Phase 2 comics.
Yep.
Yeah, you're almost certainly right, and I bet he's related to her because that's how Star Wars works.
You're right. You're I mean, yeah, if she, especially if she interacts with if Sousa Lee ended up interacting with any of the Path of the Closed Fist or whatever.
Yeah. Also, shit, with how Star Wars works, she could still be alive.
That's very true. I mean, so many people alive.
We don't know how long Lantos live.
No, not yet. I think there was like one of the Lanto was a thing where it's like it was mentioned in Legends in like a West End RPG guide once, and then Cavan's like, I'm gonna make it a thing.
Dude, West End Games just keeps on winning.
The Twin Stars of Kira reference guide was like huge when we were doing Easter eggs for roundtables back in the day.
Yeah,
always referenced.
So I love that dude's design though.
Yeah, like taking out a vector by jumping up to it. That's some real metal stuff there. One thing I kind of like to go back to Lorna D is, the return of the Ataraxia. Like when they mentioned that, it's like, wait, how did she? Then I had to like go back and find in my brain, like, oh yeah, she did just literally.
She just domed a bunch of Jedi and stole the ship.
And just stole the ship that she was like held captive of and like was a prisoner on, and then just like retooled it to her own pirate craft, which is
that from Tempest Runner?
No, she steals it in like issue 14 or 15 of the Phase 1 run.
Oh, okay.
She because shoots Orbelin and the one person with like the one that looks like a rat and has a super long name. You know what I'm talking about?
She takes out that one.
She kills them and steals the ship.
Is Orbelin dead? I can't keep track of who else.
One of them is dead.
Oh, because of that era.
Yeah,
okay.
No. But yes, he. Well, I mean, I don't know if their species can like come back together because it's just like
he's like a liquid.
Yes, but he got shot in the back of the dome.
Dang.
Yeah, he got executed by Lorna D, and then she stole a ship, and has now repurposed it. So do you think? And that was like Kiev, not Kiev's ship, but Avar's ship.
Avar's.
Do you think so? Maybe they'll make a connection with that.
Yeah, I mean, there's no way that she and Avar don't go head to head again.
I was about to say, I feel like they've done enough, like establishing hey, this is a semi-important ship. It has a name, and it came back in like 2 different timelines. I feel like the ship's going to be important here.
Well, it was important in Phase 1, even beyond that, because it was like the Jedi like flagship that they're like where it's out because it's at Hetzel, I think, and they're like, okay, then we're going to that was the third light, whatever. It's like doing missions in Light of the Jedi, and then when they open the Starlight Beacon, they kind of station it there more permanently.
Now, Oz.
Yeah.
A long time ago, I made this call back when we were still in Phase 1 here. I think at the very end of Phase 1, and I want to hear your reaction to it. I think at the end of this phase, I think Lorna D is the one who's going to kill Martian Rowe.
Yeah, I mean, that's very sort of Shakespearean or whatever, like for his right hand to turn on him.
Well, she's already kind of turned on him, and he's already kind of betrayed her
right,
a
but
couple times.
that's kind of like the Niall way.
Yeah.
I guess I could see that happening. I don't see it being a thing where she like sees the error of her ways.
Oh, definitely not.
I think maybe she does it to get to rise up and become what the Jedi have thought she was, is the new Eye of the Storm.
Or maybe it's kind of like a golem and like the one ring at the end of Lord of the Rings of like, in her like haste to murder to get her revenge, she kills him and winds up like, being done in by her own rashness. Like blows up the entire space station to spite him.
Yeah. I could see that. That's sort of that's Hux in Rise of Skywalker.
I don't care if I lose. I don't care if I win. He just needs to lose.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I could dig that. I don't know. I'm having a hard time picturing like the end game for phase 3, which I know we shouldn't even be thinking about. It's 2 years down the road, but like it's cool. I don't know where this is going. I feel like phase 1, because we knew that the third book was called The Fallen Star, we always sort of knew where we were headed.
Mm-hmm.
But this, we were like, oh, this is going to end with the Nile winning. It's going to be like Empire Strikes Back or whatever.
Yeah.
But now we're in uncharted territory.
All right. Can I bring in some breaking news?
Oh, breaking news.
It's not that it's exciting, but breaking news that people are going to hear a week late. Some Dark Horse solicitations came through. They got, another issue of Adventures coming out, but we also have a one-shot for High Republic Adventures. It is High Republic Crash Landing, written by Daniel Jose Older and art from Rochelle Aragano. But it is a Crash Landing as in Crash Awanga.
I could have guessed, yeah.
So it has Crash, her girlfriend, who I can't remember her name off the top of my head.
The singer.
Yes, the singer.
Who can fly.
Yes, and Rue from Tales of Light and Life. Remember with the bonus story?
Yes. Oh, great. So now they're making the Barnes and Noble edition even more important.
It matters. Anyways,
cool.
That's what I get for looking at Twitter in the middle of the recording. But hey,
everything online, like you said. Great. Can't wait to find out how they're going to collect that one.
Hey, I have some faith in Dark Horse at this point that eventually things will come together. It'll be a paperback omnibus a year and a half later, but they will eventually have all the things. That's why I've stopped buying trade paperbacks for Dark Horse. I'm still buying single issues, so I'm a sucker anyways, but yeah.
Other than the action, which I mean, there's not a lot of story here necessarily, because it is setting stuff up, but
it's interesting though, because like the dynamic has changed so much, because you have like Lorna, who's like working for the Hutts, and the Children of the Storm, which is an arm of the Nihil, but they do have some, it seems like, independence. You have Jedi working with RDC, which was another thing we really saw a whole lot in phase 1. We saw it in Trail of Shadows with Emmerich going after the pieces of the nameless puzzle. But yeah, there's a lot going on. And I need to reread, I think it's issue 7 and 8 of phase 1 High Republic Adventures, because this hut is the one that like Court and Farzala meet up with.
Really?
Yeah.
Scarabda, I can't, it's complicated.
Scarabda the Hut, Scarabda the whatever. I certainly, when like the whole High Republic thing started, obviously we know that Jabba's super old, so we knew that we could see him. I was not expecting the Hutts to be as central as they've kind of become.
I was a little surprised that we went back to the Hutts there,
Yeah, so now that they're back, which I guess maybe this is all going to end up where like, because by the time of the prequels and certainly the original trilogy, the Hutts are like a big deal,
and especially in the Outer Rim, which is what the Nihil have kind of cut off. So maybe,
I mean, I think in the High Republic they're sort of small potatoes still.
I think they're still significant, but I think they're they're definitely going to probably grow in influence because of the occlusion zone. So maybe like in this issue they're trying to make a deal. maybe the Hutts get the ability to go back and forth across the storm wall. Again, we were saying this before we have finished Eye of Darkness. Who knows? But if they have the ability to go back and forth when the storm wall eventually comes down, that might have help solidify their footing in the Outer Rim.
Yeah.
Also, I just love the design of. They had some in Phase 1, but I love the design of the Hutt ships looking like Jabba's sail barge, but just like starfighters.
Just out in
Oh
space.
yeah, like it's nice to have a consistent design, you know.
Yeah. But yeah, cool issue. Interested to see where it goes.
Clearly some infighting among the Nile at the moment.
Yeah, well, I don't even think Lorna D is probably with the Nihil at this because I mean
Like,
she was already on the outs in wave 3 of the first phase. So
Yeah, she was.
Yeah,
that's the whole point of what was the her special
Tempest Runner.
Tempest Runner, yeah.
Yeah, I'm just wondering if she's gonna
Like, is she using?
is
the Hutts
she
to
trying
try
to come back in? You know,
I feel like she's trying to use the Hutts to kind of either like weasel her way back in towards power or try to get her revenge on Marcion. I feel like we don't know exactly what she's going. I think like I wouldn't be surprised if next issue her and Tennis try to make like a temporary alliance to go after Marcion. Like, hey, we both know there's a way bigger evil.
Yeah.
Let's work together.
There's also a chance that like she and Marcion are sort of working like she's undercover.
Mm-hmm.
I highly doubt that.
I don't
Yeah,
think
it'd
so.
be
I think they
surprising.
actually hate each other, but yeah. Anyways,
The one thing we didn't mention is the Nameless are in this. They're just so cool. They're so cool.
They're just kind of. It's like going from like Rising Storm to Fallen Star. Where like there's a lot more of these than I thought there was, and now it's just like, a random enforcer just has a Nameless on a chain. It's
when he just needs a Jedi to remind you, like, yes, these still do kill off Jedi like that. They're just that quick at killing Jedi.
When Loden got dusted, I thought that it was sort of like a one of one kind of thing. Like
Nope.
there is one bad guy or one little nameless dog, and it turns out we see it on Dalna in Phase 2. There's plenty of them. But yeah, they're awesome. That's such a cool villain.
Oh yeah, it's great that we finally see them a lot more in like the sunlight and get a lot better look.
Yeah, because in Phase 1, it took them a long time to
it was until
show us what they looked
Trail
like.
of Shadows, like issue
4 or 5.
Yeah.
And good on them for being that that's very specific there. So excellent.
Right. I mean, it was very mysterious. Like they all just looked like drug trips anytime a Jedi saw them.
Yeah.
Excellent.
So yeah, issue 2 coming out in December. Get excited.
Speaking of issue 2s,
we gotta move on to Shadows of Starlight.
Number 2, Phase 3, 2023. This one again by Charles Soule. The first issue was very much about Yoda and what he was doing during the right after the fall of Starlight. This one focuses mainly on Avar Chris and Elzar Man. So
as we predicted, it does reset the year counter and it is like not a follow-up to issue 1.
Well, it's interesting. Like it takes place. The first scenes are like right after the fall of Starlight, where Avar ignores the council's order for the General Assembly and stays with the rebuilding efforts, while Elzar goes to Coruscant. But the Nihil set up the storm wall, cutting communication and travel. Elzar becomes increasingly obsessed with trying to breach the wall and return to his girlfriend, at least his friend, trying to gain more and more dangerous options to make that connection, while Avar is being hunted and trying to keep hope alive during this Nihil occupation. Using a Tythonic resonator, the two are able to make a brief mental connection, giving each other the strength in their darkest moment to carry on and fight for light and life. Now, to retort on what you were saying there, Oz, the very last bit of this takes place, they say, exactly 7 months after the fall, which is 1 month after the kind of major plot point of the Yoda one of last one. So it feels like a lot of these major plot, they're all starting at ground zero, but I wouldn't be surprised if the next major one is 8 months after that. Slowly start building out the last important bits as we move along.
And if you're a timeline sicko, they do so far line up pretty well. You can kind of, if you wanted to, you could splice the scenes from one to the next.
There's a scene at the end, or towards the end of the comic, where the droid's talking with Elzar, and it's that thing that happened with Yoda on that other planet recently, which was the one that happened in issue 1 where what's his name?
Eyeball Dude
Yeah.
nuked a planet, or at least a city.
Anyways,
Aslan Rail.
Aslan Rail crashes the capital ship into the city. So
Yeah.
it's working. We'll see how it works all 4 issues along with Tales of Light and Life kind of occupying the same space. But
Yeah, you could start with this one. But if you're listening to this, you've already read issue 1.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I still think so far, also having this is where I will peek into my having read parts of Eye of Darkness hat. I still think it might be fun or good to read all of Shadows of Starlight before the book, but we'll see.
I will probably be able in that camp. I'll probably be able to read all 4 issues and then get into by the time I get to the book.
As someone who's like 40 or 50 pages in, this is not spoiler, but so far there have been 2 chapters. One that is effectively a recap of this issue. It's Elzar and Chancellor So talking, and they cover a lot of the beats from here. And then there is a chapter that I assume will be recapping issue 3, which is the Bell Zettifar issue.
The Bell Zettifar story.
I'm really looking to issue 3, but we're on issue 2, which I thought was great. It didn't go as hard as the first one, just because it was sort of hard to top.
Issue 1 was so insane.
Yeah,
issue 1 was really. I felt like this one was maybe a little too dialogue heavy.
It was very character focused and just like not a lot.
It makes sense given who we're talking about. So getting into like kind of diving. Well, we have the nice flashback moment of the trio, the Polestar group, Firebrands, if you're a shipper. I mean, this is a great issue. I like to think that my theory is the Tythonic resonator thing that he's trying to communicate with people is the giant rock that Baby Yoda sits on in season 2 of The Mandalorian, because that was also on Tython, and they're using it to communicate with Jedi across the galaxy. So
it's a cool call out. I know that Tython is a big deal in the Old Republic, but I don't think it had been even mentioned in canon until Mando.
I don't think so.
I thought that was a place. No, it is Zepho. There's the Zepho.
Zepho is Jedi Fallen Order. Yeah.
Zepho is like we weren't allowed to use Tython.
Essentially.
So it's just it's always cool seeing call outs like that.
Another cool thing that this issue gave us time for timeline nerds is it tells us exactly when Eye of the Storm issue number 2 came out, was in the timeline, because we see Marcian's broadcast in this one, which is also, he gives that in the end of that series.
That issue there.
And if it ends up not lining up, we can just say it was a rebroadcast.
He was
watching it on DVR.
They hit the reruns. It's a syndicated television or syndicated HoloNet.
Gotta wait for that better time slot there.
Right. So I mean, it's one of my biggest complaints about Phase 1 was that Avar was sort of hyped up to be like, I would say, the main character. We thought she was going to be, because she's on the cover of Light of the Storm, or Light of the Jedi.
And she's like the main character of Light of the Jedi.
Yeah, or at least seems to be. And then she's on the cover and in a lot of the comic, but ultimately she doesn't have a whole lot of screen time in Phase 1.
That was I heard that complaint a lot. She's in Light of the Jedi a lot, and then takes a back seat for the next 2 adult novels. Is not in any other. Well, she's kind of in Mission to Disaster, but like I'm not gonna be seriously counting that. And then
I just re-listened to that book. Oh wait, Mission Disaster. No, I don't remember that at all.
Yeah. And then she just like meets with Emery at one point. Anyways, and then she's in like the back third of the comic books, which she plays a good role in that. But
she does.
Yeah. For a poster cool character.
Yeah. Well, and like they have this great thing going of the big 3 here, and I think that it seems like we're finally, with Stellan gone, getting to dive into that.
Yeah, and I think the Fallen Star was people like. I think that's when a lot of people were like, "Where is Avar?"
Right.
I do have. It seems interesting that we've never really seen, like, even in Phase 1, like Avar, Elzar, and Stellan like all together at the same time doing the same thing.
Right.
Like, it's like there's a big trio here, but I kind of wish we may have like a flashback story of them as Padawans or as kids, like having like at least one adventure together, just so we could see how well they were actually like together.
if I can put on my clown mask for a second, I think once phase three is done. Yeah, we need to all just get some that we put on.
It's just like the Dark Knight movie, just like we all have
yeah.
The little face.
I think
Joker
once
mask.
phase 3 is done, they're obviously not going to abandon High Republic. I think they're going to go back and plop in stories throughout the timeline, and one of them has to be a book about the young firebrands, because they've got these 2 panels here which are great. It's them foolishly walking around the temple with their lightsabers engaged.
Save these off, boys.
My headcanon is that they just got them, like they just built them with Huyang, and they're like, woo woo.
Man, they just got them, and Stellan still has a full beard. So
yeah, he's 7 in that panel.
Yeah.
But he's got a Padawan braid.
True, he does have a Padawan braid, but it's been a great issue. I will say, for people that want to know, Avar is in Eye of the Storm. She has POV chapters, so she's
Sweet.
she's definitely going to be playing a lot more of a role in this. But one thing that I really liked with this issue, it was the droids, because you have kind of droids carrying on the legacy of a character from Phase 1. You have KC, Estella Maru's droid with Avar.
Oh, yeah, that
and
was
you have
Maru
4-5.
RIP, and then it's like JR or JJ
Like, I tried
4645 or something like
and
that.
remembering, I tried to go back through, but in this issue they didn't say exactly.
Which I
his
feel
full
bad,
title.
because I'm pretty sure it's one of those cases where the droid was named after like a Make-A-Wish kid kind of type situation, if I remember correctly. But this droid this is the droid that Stellan gave Elzar in Fallen Star, so it's kind of
like a practical joke,
and it takes it much more literally, where it's like, I'm doing what Stellan's doing, the droid. So like, it's not even like a, hey reader, you can make that connection yourself. It's like, no, it's straight up just like, what would Stellan do, the droid?
right.
And it's great. It has some like a really fantastic moment here. I do hope he continues to have these great moments. I hope that this wasn't like the one writer's like, oh yeah, I want to make sure I do something cool with 4-5 and then forget all about him.
Yeah, JJ 5145.
Okay.
The book doesn't have anything about the behind the scenes, but
good.
It was cool to see him. We've never actually seen him on page.
Also, I noticed he has thin arms because he could not control Starlight Beacon when it was crashing.
Weak noodly arms.
Yeah,
literally.
Also, I think my favorite scene is the opening one with just Avar and Elzar talking. Because it's a nice moment where this you mentioned shippers, they're gonna eat this up.
Yeah.
Because
Elzar
even says but what about us?
Yeah.
There can't be an us. I'm a Jedi, and I'm like, oh,
we got some
and
problems coming.
and you're a Jedi too. And
Elzar's gonna hurl another floating island in Phase 3.
Yeah.
That's what I got a question. Elzar's down bad for Chris, right? He's
correct.
He doesn't have is he just not picking up any of what she's laying down here?
Yeah, I mean he gets it, but they've been having the same conversation for 20 years.
It's been
I don't know how old
10,
they are,
but yeah.
I
will say my favorite scene, however, was towards the end where Avar gets the projection from Elzar and has a moment of hope and ignites her lightsaber for light and life towards the end.
That was good.
That's pretty sick.
Good. And you're like, oh, getting a lightsaber. I think my favorite, I'm glad we have 3 different ones, is when Elzar's about to be all right, we just go in, we slow drive into the wall, and then we hyperdrive through it, and the droid is just activates his Geos's lightsaber through the control panel.
That is so good.
I was like, oh man, this is why comics are great, because it's such, you flip the page and oh, lightsaber. That's
if I am irresponsible and drop $400 tomorrow, I can recreate that panel for you.
Is that tomorrow?
Yeah.
It comes out our first High Republic major merch drop.
The Stellan Saber. Yeah.
We didn't mention in the news there is a comic book coming.
Oh
with
yeah,
that lightsaber.
Was that? Yeah, I guess that was probably in the last 2 weeks. Was if you drop $400-ish reportedly, we don't know the exact price still. You get the Stellan lightsaber, which is probably gonna be sold out by the time this episode airs, and then there's a comic book next to it that no one knew what it was. It's this variant cover with Harvey Tolabao for High Republic Adventures, and I was like, I did call it correctly. I think it was also the only obvious solution. It was the annual with just a special cover of Stellan on it.
I was just really worried that they were about to put out a new
exclusive
Phase
story.
1 comic, and then I was more worried that it was going to make me buy the goddamn lightsaber, which I would. It's actually a really cool looking lightsaber. I just
Yeah.
don't buy
Okay, so
lightsabers.
would you wear have one of those or 8 more of these?
Definitely the lightsaber.
8 more timeline books.
Yeah, it looks sick. Yeah, we'll see.
And
but
and that saber was featured heavily in this issue. Obviously,
Yeah.
it's still one of the coolest designs
for sure.
of any lightsaber to date.
I mean, it will be on the cover of a book. The lightsaber, basically like a coffee table book that's coming out in April, I think, as of right now.
Delayed a couple times, so
Yeah.
who
I
knows?
was about to say, like, I thought that one already came out. Or,
No,
like,
there was
there's, like a couple versions of it.
There was an original version, like lightsaber collection from Inside Editions, a couple years ago, and then this High Republic one was legit announced like almost 2 years ago.
It was at Celebration, right? Or maybe even before
I can't remember where it
Celebration.
was, but to be fair to them, they announced it so long ago, and the date was like April 2024, and we're like,
Yeah.
that must be a typo with how far away
Nope.
that is, and no, it was not. Have we talked about General Vise at all?
Nope.
No.
Okay, so General Vise is back. She is a Amarià, another species we found out lives a long time. I guess also Vernestra's having this thing too with Acolyte, but General Vise, the villain from The Blade from Phase 2 comics, the mercenary general, is back as a part of the Nihil in Phase 3.
Was she in this comic?
She is in this comic. When you see Avar towards the end looking through her quadnox at the little ship, that is Visa's ship.
Really?
Yep. I guess she actually might not appear physically in this, but that is her ship. I'm trying to look through the text to see if she's name dropped. It would probably be bolded, and I don't see it, but yes, that is her. So
And she survived the last one, so it makes sense that they could bring her back.
So that gives us good hope that there truly is going to be a Broken Blade miniseries.
yeah, that also is just a weird. Anyways, we don't have to get.
We don't
into
have time.
that now.
We don't have time to get into that next week.
Light speed skipping. On to the next thing. No, this is a cool issue. I'm excited for the Bell issue, which probably also, I'm just gonna guess, has Buryaga in it next month.
And Ember.
It does.
Yeah,
Ember.
which that one, it would be good to read Tales of Light and Life. I think it'll probably cover.
Yeah, I'll give you.
some of
It's been
that.
pretty. These have been pretty decent, honestly, giving you recaps of where we are right now in the timeline and in the
I think
story.
that's the one we have been most excited for. What's crazy to me though, still, is that like Burry's one of the biggest cliffhangers from the Fallen Star, right? And like
Yeah.
they hyped it up so much on, like, Christina's always talking about that on the High Republic
Like, where's
show.
Burry?
The
Where's
Where's
Burry?
Burry, like milk
The
cartons.
milk carton, yeah. And then they cover the story in a short story collection and a comic book. Because if this is
And it
not
was-
a spoiler, if you pick up Eye of Darkness, he's there from the
Immediately.
get-go.
Yeah.
He's on like the first page, maybe not the first, but after the prologue, he's right there, and it's just like, oh, I guess Burry's back.
Yeah, and
Big surprise.
not only that, but he wasn't announced. Like you don't read it and find it out on your own. He like was announced as being alive on like was it a Twitter post? Because it was like
Something
before
like
it was
that.
before New York City Comic Con, because the book was being sold early there,
I think you're maybe right. Yeah, there was a little bit of hubbub.
and they were like, "Hey, he's back," and we're like, "Okay."
Which also, to be fair, it was the worst cliffhanger ever. Like, obviously,
Like, we didn't see him die. You're
There-
not going to kill
it's
off your
very
cute
much
cuddly-
a rule. Like, if you don't see a body, there's no death. And with that one,
Yeah.
like
we
that,
just-
like
we
you know,
knew.
like Mace Windu.
Right, okay, come on, stop.
The one that is the one exception. He cannot come back.
That's what this 4-issue miniseries is.
Building up to hey, well, I have to say, speaking of Mace Windu, they've been putting out some Phase 3 Phase 3 concept art, and Miro Lox, who's a character from Tales of Light and Life, it's Amadeo Zazo's master.
Yeah,
They're like, here's the concept art for Miro Lox. Miro Lox's lightsaber is straight up Mace Windu's lightsaber, but on the side panel there is a like little like gold, not the main High Republic logo, but the one that kind of looks like a lotus.
Yeah.
It is just Mace Windu's lightsaber. I'm like, yeah. So, hey, I guess maybe Mace Windu is a big Mirror Locks fan. I don't know.
That would be great. That's going to be revealed in the mini
No,
series
in the
too.
Living Force book, he's going to be talking in his POV chapters like, man, I just loved Mirror Locks. So I have his rookie card, and I just had to make his lightsaber.
It's like how Obi-Wan found the inscription on the wall from Orla Jarini.
Yeah, Orlan Comac. Or whatever, yeah. In
Padawan. So we're gonna keep seeing those new callbacks.
Well, I mean, also we don't have to go too far in this. Living Force, like the book synopsis, straight up was like it doesn't say in those words, but they're like we're going to a High Republic outpost to shut it down, to like decommission it. So,
and y'all mentioned him earlier, and I didn't bring it up, but yeah, I'm so excited for John Jackson
like
to learn
gripping the chairs. Like I can't go on a tangent right now.
Yeah, that book I'm so stoked for. That I think also comes out in January with the potential final issue of Afra.
Yeah, R.I.P. Well, no, yeah. Anyways,
whatever it is,
the final issue of the Afra 2020 run.
Yeah, maybe. So 2 good issues. We didn't really mention the art at all. Ario, obviously, great to see him back. I didn't realize until you read out the credits that he had an assist on this.
Uh-huh.
I never know. Sometimes you can tell, but like when there's 2 artist
switches, it can be hard to tell when. Yeah,
occasionally, like if they're really breaking up duties, it'll say which pages each one drew. This one flows really well. It's
like usually when you see that, it's like Everdale arc switching off, where like, oh, there's a flashback segment done by the artist,
right?
Like in the Bake Off issue, it's very easy to tell who drew what. But this is all great. We were talking about it the other day. I really like the way Ario draws huts. I don't know what it is about them, but
Ario's great with huts.
Yeah.
Palaville and Nelly great with Trandoshans. Those are my 2 like very specific artist preferences. But
yeah, I never know how to turn. I do have that page of Kiev from the first run, so we'll see when he puts up his phase 3 if I need to buy a sister page with updated Kiev.
We just saw Tales from the Death Star?
Tales from the Death Star original art went up from one of the artists. I haven't looked at the prices yet. It's almost Christmas. I don't know. I can't.
Yeah, I think it was. I tried to look. I didn't see anything posted on the website.
Email.
You have to email and just inquire. So like that's always like a.
Yeah, it's like if I have to ask, I can't afford it.
Yeah, definitely.
And then who was the Shadows of Starlight?
Marika Cresta,
who I believe did a fill-in issue on phase 1. Like one of the I was just recently, for reasons I'm not going to get into now, but I'll talk about later. I was digging through all the credits.
I do not see her in the phase 1 credits for
someone did a fill-in issue. Okay, I guess it wasn't.
Georges Ginty was the main one.
Yeah.
And I see there. Those Ario and Georges were the only pencilers.
Well, it's not important, but I liked the art. I know some people were talking about.
It wasn't my favorite. I think the big thing is like face proportions were off in a few panels, but like overall, it wasn't too bad.
Yeah. I thought I liked the action really well. When we're talking about the faces, the art's really fluid in the action. I love the way Kiev looks in that one where she's doing her lightsaber.
We're back to High Republic. Number 1. Okay. I was talking about Shadow Starlight, but anyway.
Sorry, I said Kiev. I meant Avar.
Okay. Back again.
I see a green lightsaber, and the shot of her blocking all those blasters is one of my favorite panels. Then now the face looks a little more sort of putty-ish in the next page where she says the Jedi will not abandon you, but that's still a pretty metal panel.
This is also not an artist thing, but I mean she drew it, but like it is interesting that the High Republic or the Starlight Beacon is all in one piece in the ocean. Split in 2. I was like, that was probably
they just landed one on top of each other.
Yeah, when you if you look at the cover and then you look at that first page, like the way that Phil Noto drew it versus the way it's drawn on the interiors is totally. It's kind of like in Ashes of Jeddah when you see Jeddah and there's like a corner of it missing.
Yeah.
when Luke goes to it, and you're like, but that's not what happened in
Yeah.
Rogue One.
It's more than that corner. It's like a half of the planet is just
Yeah.
gone.
And or like how Death Star 2 maybe shouldn't have had that big chunk of the throne
Hey,
room
we don't
still
need to get
on
in that right now.
Caspier.
You're Oz is a Rise Skywalker enjoyer, so
But my point is, destruction is just what you make of it.
yeah, it's
Exactly.
from a certain point
It's
of view.
artistic.
Yeah.
Um,
But yeah, great art all around.
oh, I did find that she did say General Visa's name at some point, so there you go. That's
nice,
not
nice.
Okay.
But yeah, overall, cool issue. Looking forward to what is coming next. Any final thoughts on this before kind of come to a close?
No, I'm great start to phase 3. It's sort of weird that these are running in tangent, but that's just comics publishing. We, depending on when you're listening to this, we do not recommend release order as a strict guide.
No, we do need to
very
update.
adamant
We
on
do
it.
need to update our High Republic reading order on the website, but yeah. Anyways,
You can get by, but
yeah. But with all that said, some of the other issues that came out this past 2 weeks was Darth Vader 40. Had a lot of interesting conversation around it, which kind of surprised me because I don't think it just felt like another issue of Vader to me.
I thought so too. I finally got caught up because I saw there was some buzz, and it was a cool issue. I'm digging this post Handmaiden arc
Agreed.
more than I had, and the way it ties in with Dark Droids.
It's
But yeah, it didn't.
like I feel like that's like the first time in a long time this like comic has shocked me. Like, oh wait, Vader's really going to be willing to do that for his power.
Yeah,
I can see definitely on your guys' reaction, especially Jacob's reaction. It's like, yeah, whatever. But it to me is like, oh wow, okay, like Vader's willing to sacrifice and he's finally I've never seen Vader be in a position where he had to do something for more power. He's always like,
Yeah.
I always have the strength within myself to do
I
this.
think it maybe would have hit harder if they hadn't teased him getting turned so many times throughout the Dark Droids event.
It's like we always knew it was going to happen. We just didn't know how. So
yeah, which it was cool that it was voluntary.
But speaking of Dark Droids number 4 did come out. Traditionally, we've been kind of talking about things as they come out, but we had to talk about High Republic. Let's be real.
Yeah.
So we're going to talk about Dark Droids number 4 next episode. We also had
Yes.
Dr. Afra 38, another great one. Really kind of that was a really good one that really pushed the story further past Dark Droids 4.
I have not read it yet. Does it feel like they're building to a finale?
Oh, of the series. Oh, kind of. They're I guess the premise is they get Magna back, so there are emotions that are at play. So
they're so sweet together.
So and then Mando season 2, 6.
Yeah.
And Peach Momoko Visions, which
Oh hell yeah.
that was dope. The art was amazing. I don't know, I was like, well, when she did the Vader Black, White, and Red, I'm like, it was so sick, but it was kind of a fever dream, and there was no dialogue, and there was no dialogue in this for an entire issue of a comic.
Yeah, so I found myself, I was just narrating what I'm seeing to try and follow it. It was really cool.
If you don't read the summary page at the beginning of comics normally for Star Wars, read this one because it actually tells you what's going on.
I may have skipped that. That's
this character's doing this and this character's doing this, and that that in mind, it's I can see what's happening.
Now I haven't watched either season of Visions in a while. Does it tie in with a specific one? Or
it's
I didn't think so. It's about, based on her Black, White, and Red story, it's pretty much what I expected. This is what this Visions concept should be.
Yeah,
is just it doesn't matter what you're doing, just go hard. And she did. She you couldn't do this as a Star Wars number
series.
45 or whatever.
Right.
This couldn't be a fill-in issue, but for Visions where canon doesn't matter, and I know people get but what? Don't worry about it.
Continuity.
It could be canon. It could not be. It really doesn't matter. It's cool. I am curious, as I mentioned on our last episode, she's doing the upcoming round Ultimate X-Men.
Is she gonna put dialogue in that?
I don't know, because she is the writer and artist. That's going to be wild for an ongoing X-Men book.
If an X-Men had no dialogue,
the 2-issue preview or 2-page preview in that Ultimate Universe book did not have dialogue. So now I thought that was just a little tease. Now
That'd
I'm
be
kind of thinking
wild,
that book's not going to have
dude.
words. So I will.
How long
I
can
will
you have
keep
no
y'all abreast of
dialogue?
that.
Because like I always like have like the thoughts about like the Chewbacca miniseries that happened a while back. It's like it's hard to have a story where your main character can't talk.
Yeah, but even he had the little girl
Kid
who
that
could
can translate ish. Yeah.
or
Yeah.
just at least talk to him.
Yeah.
Every now and
Um,
then it can work. Marvel years and years. This was maybe like 20 years ago. They had a month where they did "Nuff Said," which was Stan Lee's catchphrase, and a whole bunch of books did silent issues, but it was like a gimmick, so it was
Yeah.
built around that. I don't
Going
know.
more than like 4 issues of that would be. We'll see. Hey, you know, you'll have to
Like,
keep us
yeah.
posted on that. So
I will. And anyway, check out Visions Momoko. The next one is from, I believe, the guy who did
the first
other
one.
shot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which I'm still not entirely sure if it's how it's different, but I'll still buy it. I'm a sucker.
Takashi
Omizaki? Yeah.
Okazaki.
Okay, so those are the issues that came out. We're talking about Dark Droids number 4 and maybe some other stuff next time. Some other issues that are coming out over the next 2 weeks, though, are Bounty Hunters number 40. Only 2 more issues after that. RIP. D Squad number 3.
Didn't you say, and I haven't read it yet, but that Dark Droids does
kind of, because
spoil-
D Squad just shows up and you're like, not all of you have like teamed up yet.
Have been
so.
shown up yet.
Yeah. Again, release order and the way comic books, but I think all 4 issues of D Squad maybe take place between like 3 and 4 of
Probably.
or 2 and 4 of Dark Droids.
So we got D Squad number 3. Camp masterpiece. Hyperspace Stories number 11. That's the penultimate issue of Hyperspace Stories. And then Kenobi number 3 of 5, I think, for that adaptation. I can't remember how many.
I think it's 6, but
6. However many episodes.
I
were
will
in the
guess that's
series.
how many episodes it was. Yeah.
But that
Which I
is-
didn't mention when you said Mando came out this week. That's the Ahsoka episode, right? Episode 6.
Oh yeah, I don't know. I need to like yell at Unknown
haven't-
Comics because I ordered the Peach Momoko variant from them with Ahsoka.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, I need that shipped to me at some point. But maybe it was.
I have
6.
not. I have not been reading those. I've watched the show.
My plan is when both season 2 and Kenobi are done, I'm going to finally read all of those adaptations.
I'm just gonna wait for the inevitable omnibus that will have all the
Mandoverse omnibus?
the Mandoverse stuff.
That'd be so insane. All right, well, but no Andor probably. Let's be real.
Yeah, Book of Boba Fett's gonna get a comic. Andor will not, and I will continue to cry. But if
And they'll
it
all
does,
be drawn by Salvador LaRocca.
yeah, if it does get one, you will hear about it a week later here on this podcast.
Or 3 weeks, depending on the timing. But with that said, that'll do it for this week's episode of The Cosmic Force. Don't forget to like and subscribe right here on YouTube, where you can watch us every other Wednesday. We encourage you to also subscribe to the audio version on whatever podcast platform you listen to. You can follow us on Twitter and tweet at the show at Cosmic Force Show to stay informed about Star Wars comic book news. You can also follow the show hosts as well. I am at Jacob Bausch, Caleb is at Caleb Lamanek, and Oz is just Oz. For reviews, articles, and news for the rest of the wide galaxy of Star Wars content, be sure you visit Youtini.com. We also encourage you to join our Discord community by going to Youtini.com/Discord. And you can also start supporting the show by heading to Patreon.com/Youtini and start receiving exclusive perks at just $5 a month. A special thank you to Brian Dooley, Carl Sander, Michael Fry, and Raymond Bazinski on our Jedi High Council, and James T., Ashley Ingalls, Colton Fife, Chris Carrizzo, and Sally and Chris Irelson on our Alliance High Command for their amazing support. Thank you again, Caleb and Oz, for hosting with me, and a special thank you to all the listeners for joining us this week yet again. We really appreciate you, and of course, as always, may the Force be with you.